Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to be kicking off the city's first ever open data portal. I was joking around with Dr. Crow before today's press conference. I did a little geeking out on my own because prior to becoming mayor, I was a smart cities policy expert where I advise cities all across the country on the importance of using data to modernize city governments for the 21st century. And the factoid I discovered was that the city of Washington, D.C. was the first big city in the country to have an open data portal in the year 2006. And now, nearly 2 decades later, Cleveland is finally one of 85 cities across the country that will have an open data portal. And so I'm excited about the great work that Urban AI, ITS, communications, law have done to make this day possible. As I said in my State of the City speech last week, this is another symbol and sign of progress towards a more modern and responsive City Hall. And as former Mayor Bloomberg once said, you can't manage what you can't measure. And I believe this open data portal will give us more tools, more insights to make sure we're doing the people's work bigger, better, and bolder than ever. So with that being said, I'll kick it off to my illustrious colleague, Dr. Liz Crow. Liz.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Yeah, you're good. So today I'm going to walk you through a high-level overview. I do have slides because you can't take the college professor out of me. And then we are going to do a video tour of the portal. The portal is live now. So you can go on your mobile device, you can go on your laptop. It's a little better on your laptop, but it's solid on both. So the portal is up, the portal is live, and we're gonna talk about what the portal is, how it works, and then we'll do the video tour. Cool? All right, so let's see if I can get to go. All right, so what is open data? I wanna start there. Open data for the city of Cleveland is the proactive release of information on city operations and services. This includes applicable city data that will be published to an open data portal. The open data portal is a website where anyone can view and download data. There are more than 130 state and local governments that have open data portals. So we are not the newest in this space, but we are taking this really big step today and moving towards launching our open data portal. If you think about the state of Ohio, they have their Innovate Ohio platform. That's another good example in Ohio of an open data portal. Cincinnati also has a very large, very functional open data portal. Why is the city doing this is a really critical question that a lot of folks have asked us. And there's really 2 core business reasons for us as a city. The first is that we need to increase trust and transparency in city operations. So by proactively releasing information, by having you all not need to come to us with questions, we can eliminate the need for you all to say, hey, do you have this data? Where is it? And we can proactively tell you what we are doing as a city. So we can increase that transparency, we can increase the trust. The other reason is that we get a lot of public records requests. In 2023, we got 33,000 public records requests. By comparison, Washington, D.C., the mayor just gave that as an example of a long-standing city with an open data portal, in 2023 had 11,000 public records requests. We got that statistic from the Washington, D.C. open data portal. We are outsized in our volume of public records requests because Washington, D.C. is roughly 3 times our size, both in population, and they do state, county, and city operations all within their municipal government. And so we are drowning in public records requests. It's taking a substantial amount of our staff time, and we are hopeful this portal helps level those out or ideally in time take them down. All right, so a couple of key features you're gonna see in the portal today. First of all, it is a website you can go to where there is no sign up and there is no login required. It is free to access. It is free to get information off the portal. It is free to use this information. There are no barriers. We support multiple types of data in the portal. So tabular data, which would be spreadsheets, spatial data, so maps and feature layers, GIS story maps, web apps, Power BI reports, and dashboards. So we can not only publish the spreadsheet, but we can also publish a visual diagram of that spreadsheet. We can support automatic data refreshes. And so where appropriate and where possible, we are looking to take data from our source city systems and automatically move that data into the portal without needing a human in the loop or in that process. We can also do data tagging and categorization to make it easier for our residents and those using the portal to access and search for information on the portal. And then we are also including metadata and documentation. So one of the questions that has come up to us is, well, what does that date field mean? One of our data standards as we're releasing this data onto the portal is to have that documentation there, ready to go for you, already on the portal. We've categorized the data into a couple of different areas, and you'll see these topic areas in the video tutorial as well. We have data in each of these topic areas, but we're not done including data in this portal. So what we have today is a lot of data, and we've got a fair amount of data. We focus heavily on areas like building and housing, consolidating what we had that was already publicly available, but we will be releasing more, and we will continue to iterate and build on this portal in time. So for our major categories of data would be things like health and environment, housing and development, public safety data, transit and mobility, locations and boundaries, infrastructure, people, recreation and culture, and your administration and records. And we will continue to add data to each of these categories in the coming weeks, months, and years. All right, so again, as I said, the portal is live today. You can get to us from data.clevelandohio.gov. There are links on the City of Cleveland website. It is in the persistent navigation at the top. If you have questions, you can email UrbanAI at opendata@clevelandohio.gov. And for those of you who are developers, I know we've got some really active civic tech folks in our community. We have set up a GitHub. For those who aren't familiar with GitHub, GitHub is the globally recognized code repository. We will be releasing some of our codes. The first batch of code is we've done some analysis of US Census data and set it to specifically the City of Cleveland boundaries. We have released the code on how we did that analysis. Check our work. Tell us if we're wrong. We're putting it out there to make it available for you, so we're transparent at every single phase of this process. So next, Sam, if you can click over to the video, and then we'll go from there. Thanks.
Introducing data.clevelandohio.gov, Cleveland's open data portal. Cleveland Open Data is a one-stop shop for city datasets, dashboards, civic tech applications, and much more. Through the proactive sharing of city data, this portal aims to increase transparency and trust in city operations. This portal is completely free to use and does not require a login or registration. Dashboards and applications allow users to directly interact with data in an engaging, dynamic format. Story maps bring data to life through powerful PowerPoint-like presentations. Data enthusiasts can filter, download, and build their own applications using data sets from a variety of topics like housing and development, public safety, transit and mobility, and much, much more. Furthermore, programmers can use city-developed code to access and perform analysis on data via the ArcGIS REST API. Through open data, residents, local organizations, and city employees can utilize city data to its fullest potential. There are several ways to navigate through Cleveland Open Data. One way is by content type. Apps and Maps represents map-based interactive applications where users can view, toggle, and filter location-based data, seeing in real time how it changes on a map. Dashboards and analytics are similar to Apps and Maps, but focused on data visualizations like charts, graphs, and tables. Data stories contain ArcGIS story maps. Story maps are scrollable web applications that connect data to narrative text and other multimedia content. Data Catalog serves as an advanced search tool for finding datasets. Datasets are the backbone of open data. These datasets can either appear in map form, like RTA stops and street center lines, or in table form, like building complaint violation notices. With the Data Catalog, users can easily find content using the search bar at the top or specify their searches using filters on the left-hand side of the page. Interacting with data in the Open Data portal is quick and easy. For starters, let's look at the building permits dataset. This table lists all of the building permits that have been issued in the City of Cleveland since 2015. This data is sourced from the city's Acela system, which tracks permits, inspections, code enforcement, and more. All datasets and applications in Cleveland Open Data contain documentation outlining what the content means, how often it's updated, and how it's used. To view an item's documentation, click on the View Full Details button in the sidebar, then expand the summary below. As you can see, this dataset contains a data glossary, which explains in simple terms what each column in the dataset represents. As previously mentioned, this dataset contains all permits issued since 2015. Let's say we want to see all the permits that were issued during 2023. We can use the filter functionality of this dataset to find exactly what we're looking for. First, click the Filter Data icon on the sidebar. Next, select the column you want to filter. If you don't know what column you want to filter, you can always go back to the documentation to view the data glossary. In this case, we are interested in the Issue Date column, which represents when a permit was issued. Next, you can drag the slider to your specified range or use the date boxes to explicitly define your range. To get all the permits from 2023, we will input the first date as January 1st, 2023, and the last date as December 31st, 2023. And voila! The dataset automatically filters to your specified range. You can also mix and match multiple filters to get the exact dataset you're looking for. For example, we can filter which ward the permit was issued in by selecting the ward column from the sidebar. By inputting 12 into the text box that appears, we will now have a list of all building permits issued for 2023 in Ward 12. Once we are finished filtering the dataset, you can share your results with others by simply copying the link from your browser. You can also download the data to your computer to use in programs like Excel, ArcGIS Pro, and more. To do this, click the Download button on the sidebar, then enable the Toggle Filters button to apply your filters. Lastly, click Download under the format you want. After downloading, you are free to use the data for whatever you want. Whether it be performing analysis, building an application, or using data for your own internal work, Cleveland Open Data is here to help.
In closing, before we take questions, this is about accountability because this data belongs to the residents of Cleveland. And we wanted to make sure that there was an easy, mobile-friendly way to access this data. It's also about transparency and ensuring that we can have an open, transparent system to showcase all the data that we're touching at City Hall. And the part that gets me excited is the innovation that we're going to see because of this new open data portal. And my favorite example will hopefully be coming soon. I was talking to Dr. Liz Crow about all the cemetery data we have in the city of Cleveland. And as someone who has loved ones in a city of Cleveland owned cemeteries across the city, right now, if you don't know where your loved one's plot is, the first question they ask you is, who was president when they died? That's the way to find out where your loved one's plot is. Well, pretty soon there'll be a mobile-friendly way, easier way, because of this great technology to allow residents to type in a name and hopefully find their loved one in a city-owned cemetery. Just one example of what this data can do for our community. So with that being said, we'll take a few questions.
Can you tell us anything about how much work did you have to do to get this data together? I think there's sometimes a perception that the city is still doing a lot of its work on paper. Is that true? And I mean, can you give us a sense of the work behind the scenes?
I would say, I'm going to hate this answer, but it varies pretty dramatically because we're a large enterprise. So, we've got 7,500 employees citywide with more than 30 departments, and each of them is sort of in a varying state of maturity. And so first thing we did, I joined the Bibb administration in August of 2022, and my sort of first initiative was just take a baseline. Where are we as an enterprise? What is the data maturity of the enterprise? And kind of what we figured out is we were aware of data, but I wouldn't say we were at a spot where we were ready to use that data. And so the first step we did is we started to identify what technology could underlie this. How would we start organizing the tech? Which is where my team came in, who are fantastic. I could not be more proud of the Urban AI team And our partnerships with ITS, our teams in water who have long-standing ownership of our GIS instance, really baselining a lot of the tech. And then we realized we needed to step back and we needed to say, okay, what is open and what does that mean? And that's where our partners in law came in. We've got some really strong public records law in Ohio and some definitions of what is open. And we actually had to put some terms in place for ourselves. So the mayor signed an executive order in December, which launched a data policy, which really was the foundation for how do we talk about what is data, what is open, what is not. And when we bring those two things together, we were able to launch this technology with a really healthy layer of support from Mayor Bibb. So, a lot of other cities have said, man, how did you guys move through this? And the short punchline is we had a lot of executive support, which not every city or every leader, every department has the privilege of having. But we have areas of the city where our work is still on paper. We have a lot of large enterprise systems. Our team has been taking an inventory of systems. We have, I would say, roughly 130 major sources that we're using. About a third of those would be non-city owned sources, such as Cuyahoga County's data. But, we mentioned the Acela system. We could talk about our CityWorks system, our 311 system. Those are big, multi-departmental enterprise systems. We have other areas that are heavily spreadsheet based. And so we are approaching each one of those differently. And all of that data can end up on the portal. And we had to this was setting the structure to get us there.
Is there any set of data, with the cemetery example notwithstanding, any other sets of data that you really want to get on the system that is just not there yet?
Oh, Lord, there are so many really good examples. We're preparing to launch our new 311 system. So that's a really big one for us to get on the portal because it's going to speak to where resident requests are coming in. And as we are in flight of launching that system, we're also putting the tech stack in place to get that data on this portal in both a visual format and a tabular downloadable format.
And the piece that I don't want to lose, particularly with the 311 example, as we launch the brand new 301 system later this year, we'll be able to see kind of where the complaints are coming in at a ward by ward level. Mm-hmm. So on a yearly basis, as we think about budgeting and performance management and where to allocate resources, that'll inform how we think about everything we're doing at City Hall. So, Mark.
As far as those 33,000 public records requests, that was last year, right? What are the sort of top 2 or 3 categories that are relieved by this portal?
Top 2 are going to be public safety and building and housing. So this portal will relieve some percentage of the public safety requests, and I don't want to get in front of our friends in law. You guys can jump in here. It will hopefully relieve more of the building and housing requests. So what this portal doesn't do is video and audio. And so we will not be releasing video and audio on this portal. That is an industry standard. It is by design. So this portal will help with a lot of our crime stat requests from public safety. It will help with building and housing requests like permits. We've targeted very early in this process a lot of building and housing data in the first release, the day one release of the portal. Public safety is really excited to start to put more data on. We have a crime dashboard that's out there for day one, and then more will be coming in the next few months from public safety specifically. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, April.
Hey, April.
Can you talk about other priorities for next releases? You touched on them a little bit, and how you might engage with the community to help determine those priorities?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. Our first step was to get the data that we had available to us live. And we've got, I think, setting up what is realistic for us from what systems do we have, what systems are ready for data to be released. So, for example, our public safety 911 data goes into a computer automated dispatcher, a CAD system. That system is in place. We know that we can ultimately access data from that system. That's ready. In the coming weeks, step one was launch the portal. We hope to start engaging through groups like Data Days Cleveland and other nonprofits, other entities in the community to even just ask what folks need. Is the portal hard to use? Are there tweaks we can use to optimize? Our intention is to start to deploy some feedback forms. We have the email in place as well. Please ping us. It does go to humans. Those humans are in this room. But also hoping to start to look for more events where we can begin talking about the portal and presenting what it is.
Maybe some more hackathons.
Yeah.
People still do those? Yeah.
They do still do those,
Not
but we
really?
we
People saying no. Never mind. I've been out of the game too long,
Yeah.
I guess. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I know what I'll
Thank
be
you.
doing this weekend. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.